and they'll say Stefan, and then next week they may say Steven. So it,
What
it
do
happens.
you prefer, Steven or Stefan
I
or
prefer Stefan.
yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Some people say Steph or something like that, but I get it all the time. So
Well, you know what? I've been called a lot worse.
right. So it doesn't, look, I always think for me, or I guess for you, family matters, with
Yeah.
Stefan, Steve Arkell, so it doesn't bother me. He was the same person. It's all good. So on behalf of LRM, I'd like to thank you for taking time out for the interview today, Steve.
Thank you for hanging out with me, man.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. Nice background you got there too, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone asked me like what your favorite thing to collect is, and I'm like, you know what? It's none of this. It's memories, man.
That
Because
is
it's the memories you accrue. Like even talking to you right now, I'm gonna hold
right.
this with you, man.
That's
It's the
great.
only thing that can't be taken away from you.
That's true. That is the only thing. And yeah, you can't even put a price tag on memories, man. It's you know. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a great little mantra there.
Well,
Yeah.
feel free to put it in the interview and shit and make me sound like a god. I'm only kidding,
You
dude.
sound like a guru here, man. It's like so dropping
The
gems on
cat
us today.
balls. It's totally the cat balls. It makes me happy.
Nice, nice. Yeah. All about being centered, being happy, having a good time. So um let me ask you, why produce horror movies?
That's a great question, man. And you'll be happy to know you're the only one to ask me that yet so far.
Okay, nice.
You know what? When I was growing up, I learned at a really early age. I got my ass whipped when I was 3 years old for sneaking into my living room at 1 a.m. and watching Night of the Living Dead, and I thought the newscast scene was real. And as I was laying in bed that night after I got my first spanking, I realized that wow, I was totally terrified and 100% safe at the same time. So it's that feeling, that adrenaline rush, that controlled chaos. I've been chasing it my whole life. And I never thought I would get a chance to actually work on the other side of the industry. My mom used to say to me, Steve, maybe you want to invest in a hobby that you could actually make money with. Sorry, hi, mom, how you doing? Uh, but yeah, man, it's just something that's always been really special to me, and it was a big part of my formative years when I was a kid.
Nice. Sounds like it was just almost made for you to be producing these. That's great, and that's a great story. The way to come into it. That's hilarious. You thought that the newscast on Night of a Living Dead
I was like
was what was
3.
going through your
Oh my god,
mind at the time when you're seeing this.
we had that giant ass black and white console TV
Okay, right,
that if it broke, you just said fuck it, and you put another TV on top, and it was furniture.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I remember.
I didn't know it was a newscast.
Right. It's like it's just that's crazy. That's a great answer too, though. And that's a wonderful story. And it's a memory. So thank you for sharing that memory with us over here at LRM. We definitely appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So now that you've explained why produce horror, how did you come into being a producer on Terrifier 2 and All Hallows Eve Inferno?
Accident. I created Dread Central, and I ran it for 18 years. And during that time, I got to meet pretty much all of my idols and everyone who I watched growing up, like George Romero and Sid Haig mentored me, you
Wow.
know? And
Okay.
that was like having those cats mentoring you is like Bigfoot deeming you cool enough to know that he really exists, you know? So I took that from them and I learned and they taught me when to listen and when to shut my mouth. And I just applied it, and after many years doing the journalism side of things, I was on so many film sets. I covered so many movies, it was ridiculous that eventually I just said, you know what? Okay, let me see what the other side really is. So a guy named Dan Farrens, who's a good friend of mine, I love him to the day. He was working on a project called Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy.
Okay.
And he asked me if I wanted to help out with it. And then I did. And it just seemed like a natural evolution. And that's really where the filmmaking part of my career started. And I had come across the original Terrifier when Damien Leone wrote me after seeing a quote of mine on, I believe it was Rob Zombie's 31. And
Really?
yeah, he was like, I have this thing. I'm not having any luck finding distribution. Do you think maybe you can help me by giving me a quote? So at that time, I was actually watching movies for Epic Pictures Group to release the first Dread Central Presents movie.
Nice.
He saddled me with like 100 films, and every fucking one of them was terrible. And in the middle of all that, I watched Terrifier, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is
Really?
it!"
Okay.
I called Epic and I told them this was the movie I want to release, and they bought it sight unseen. And there was just one problem: they hated it.
Wow. Okay.
But I fought for it.
Nice.
And at one point during our amazing amount of masturbatory conversations where everybody's like, I got this great idea and I'm going to implement none of them,
Sure, sure.
I got really annoyed with them. And I said, you know what? If this movie doesn't hit like I think it's going to hit,
Right.
you can have my part of the company. I will walk away.
Wow.
I think they took me up on that because it was an easy way to get rid of me.
Sure, sure.
And the movie hit, and then I quit anyway. And then I went
Nice.
on to Fire 2.
Nice. That's a heck of a story there. That's a memory there.
Book coming out, brother.
Really? Okay. Nice. Man, yeah, I used to lurk around Dread Central. So nice. Very interesting story there. Now and I guess it's been just history ever since, moving along the way, just
Yeah, but
lining
you
up
know
like
what?
that.
Of all the things I've done, I consider the All Hallows Eve project right now to be one of the most important. And the reason why it's the most important to me is because when you make a short film, short films have very finite lifespans. You do your festival run, you get featured on a website or two,
Sure.
and your movie goes and lives and dies on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever.
Right.
So there are so many good filmmakers out there who made so many good movies that nobody has seen. So when I was approached to come on board the All Hallows Eve franchise, I did so because I had this idea to take these pre-existing movies that nobody was watching, that weren't doing any good for the filmmakers, and give them a second life and let them be seen by a wider audience, an audience that didn't have the opportunity to go see it while it was on its festival run, or maybe they missed it online. So I want everyone to have that same opportunity that Damien had with the original All Hallows Eve. Maybe the right people see it, maybe the filmmakers end up making a feature version based on the shorts that were included. And, everyone's like, I hear people say, you don't know where the next Romero is going to come from. You don't know where the next Sam Raimi is going to come from, the next John Carpenter. Bullshit. I know exactly where. The indie horror film scene.
There you
And
go.
because of that, giving these people a chance to be recognized on a much larger level is probably one of the most important things I've done in my career.
Awesome. That's an amazing answer. And it sounds like you're being a great vehicle for to get these filmmakers out there and give them
I'm
another
just
life here. It's
selfish, man.
amazing.
I like watching cool shit. I'm just
Yeah.
being selfish.
Well, thank you for producing cool shit and putting it out there for us to watch.
Sharon, man.
I think we're about out of time, Steve. I thank you for taking time out for the interview today. And where can folks check out All Hallows Eve Inferno?
It's on Tubi. It'll be everywhere eventually. And when you post this or whatever, just tag me online so I could share it. I want to make sure you guys get the views.
All right, we definitely appreciate it, Steve. It was great talking to you today, brother.
My pleasure, brother.
See you.
Easy.